the words up top.
Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Sunday, Popcorn and Politics, y'all. It's time. It's that time again. It's that time to talk to another great candidate here in the state of Georgia. Now, remember, this show is broadcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Roku. So if you want to watch this at home on television, if you got a Roku device, be sure to tune in. We are broadcasting live right now, and I'm happy to. It's also being broadcast on American One Radio. So, yeah, so we're broadcast. We're doing our thing here, but that's because we are bringing you some great candidates, and they want to share with you why you should vote for them. And so today, my guest is Mr. Antonio Hicks. He's running for Congressional District Number 4 here in the state of Georgia. Thank you so much for being my guest today, sir.
Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, this you're not new to politics. You launched a campaign about a year and a half ago, and so
Mm-hmm.
tell me a little bit about who you are. Who's Antonio? And then tell me about your first foray into politics, and then why now against the infamous Hank Johnson, who's been in that seat for 14 years. So a lot of people may say that's a little bit of political suicide. So we want to talk about that. But first, tell us a little bit about who you are.
That's always interesting because that's a question I always ask the other candidates and stuff too. The thing about me, I'm Antonio Hicks, so thank you all. Thank you for having me on the show again. I'm born and raised Georgia boy, come out of the great state of Georgia, from out of Macon, Georgia, off of Eisenhower Parkway. So shout out to anybody from Macon. Love you guys. And then raised in Stone Mountain. So what got me into politics? Well, outside of politics, I'm an engineer by trade. I've always been an engineer, but I've always been involved with the community too. So a lot of my story, I always talk about. I was the vice president of North Lake, Georgia, the pioneers for Bell South. They wanted me to be president, but I was too busy at the time. I had two brand new kids, so I couldn't get into that. But I've always been involved in some form of fashion because I feel like when you come from out of a small town, that you have an obligation to make sure that you reach back and pick some of the people up. So you can, you make everybody proud that represented you and that brought you up. So what got me into politics and want to run against, like you said, the infamous Hank Johnson, is that I come from that district. Like you see me in my hashtags, I'm homegrown. I grew up here, and one thing I tend to talk about a lot is that being homegrown, you know exactly what's going on around the area because you've been here through the whole birthing process. So you've seen what it was like during the whole conceptualizing of things, the birthing pains, and then you've seen what came out of it. Whereas a lot of people moved in, after we had already gone through all those struggles, and they see it as, they can improve upon some things, but they're running for office themselves to try to improve those things. But me, having been here for so long and being born and raised here, I feel like it's time for true leadership to be put into place to represent the people of the district and of this great state. And so that's what made me run, because I've seen things happen in the area that weren't for the good. And it's time for a true leader to be put into place to serve those people of the community.
Them some strong words, Antonio. You said
Hey,
true
I'm a strong
leader.
person.
Okay, all right. You said a true leader, and I know that a lot of people. Representative Hank Johnson has been in that position for such a long time, and so some people may beg to differ that he is doing a great job. That's why he's been there so long. What are some of the things that you think that he's not doing well that you can do better?
I mean, the main focus is leadership. And I mean, one thing I always say is everybody has their opinion about stuff. And the one thing I do challenge people on, because I mean, I get it. I'm running against an incumbent that's been around for so long. And he was a commissioner before he actually got into Congress. Because I said, I've been here this whole time. I've seen the whole process. And I get people's opinion about why am I running against another Democrat. But like I said, my thing is, the one thing I will focus on, and my whole campaign is focusing on, is being the leadership and what leadership really means, about being showing integrity, being transparent about what you're trying to do, being active, like really being active and showing up. Don't show up when it's time for something to hit the main headline news, and that's when you want to show up and get in the protest. Be responsible about people that's actually within your community and elected you and put you into place. And I use the example of, just because you're in DC doesn't mean that you can't know what's taking place within the community itself. Because I have 3 boys, and I have to go back to my parenting days. I have 3 boys that when my ex and I got divorced, she moved to Michigan to be with her family and be close to home. But I raised two boys. I raised 2 boys from all the way down here in Georgia. I talked with them every morning. I knew about the issues that was taking place with them. When I had to be there, I was there. And when I didn't have to be there, I was there because, of course, they're my kids. And I feel the same way when it comes to CD4 and when it comes just to Georgia in general. You have to be present and be accountable. And I don't see that. I mean, flat out being honest about it. And that's the problem. I know that people have an issue with me because I'm brutally honest. but you have to be present and you have to be accounted for. This is my family. And I don't even the implants that come into here. Once you come into Georgia and you call this place your home, you are my family now. You are my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to treat you as such. And I'm not going to blow you off just because I say that I'm in DC working towards you. You're going to know exactly what I'm doing. And I think over the past year and a half, I set up my platform to people to know who I am, what I'm about, and how transparent I am, because you can find me anywhere. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on the podcast that I do, on the radio station, the radio show that I have. I have a Discord channel that I always encourage people to sign into. So if they have questions or they want to talk to me one-on-one when I'm playing some games, they can come and do that too. But I make myself readily available to not just, my constituents, but just to anybody, because I'm a positive person and I like to project positive energy. So all the things that I've gone through within this area and I've pulled myself out of, I like to be an asset and be available to those around me that may be going through the struggle themselves and need a word of encouragement.
So some of the things that you tell us a little about some of the things that the people are asking for in your district and they're not getting, and you plan to be the answer to that problem or the solution to that problem.
It's the same thing that we've always had. It's like for jobs, it's for gentrification that's taking place and not being included in that process. Like we have the housing boom that's taking place right now and all the new property and stuff being brought up because the investors couldn't buy out the foreclosed houses, which I think that's an issue, but they couldn't buy all the foreclosed houses. So now they're buying a new property. So it's driving the cost of home ownership up and rental properties. Like I heard a young lady yesterday, and I'm gonna call her Lona. She's seasoned, but I respect my elders, and she a young lady to me. But even she said the same thing to me as far as rental properties cost a ton of money, and if you don't have enough money to even pay for rent, all the properties they bought up in this that you would like to get into, you can't even afford it. And it's just that even with them issuing money out to help our renters that were back behind on pay, that got caught up in so much policy and stuff, and nobody said anything about it. Even himself didn't come out and really speak on that until later on down the line when they invited him out to come and speak on it. It's about being transparent and being honest about what you are and to represent the people in the community. So I'm talking about jobs, we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about infrastructure taking place, especially in DeKalb County, where we have the sewage problem that's been going on since I bought my first house all the way back in 2000. So it's like, you don't see representation. I'm just going to be honest with about it. You just don't see representation. And I know people might beg to differ, but again, like I say, show me the proof in the pudding. Show me where I'm wrong at. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful about it. I'm just being honest about what's going on, because just like you would feel some kind of way about a man or a woman not doing what they're supposed to be doing at your house, you would feel some kind of way about that. I want you to feel the same way about our elected officials and how they're supposed to be representing us. And I don't see that. I think people are treated differently just because they're in a leadership position, but when they're not necessarily leaders. But I think everybody should be held accountable.
So you said something about a sewage problem. What is that problem? What's going on with the sewage over in
Oh my God, DeKalb County, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. So we've been having a sewage issue in the South DeKalb part of DeKalb County, and they've invested millions out there. And I know it's going to touch on some people's nerves that work over in that administration over there, but still, we had sewage getting dumped down into our watering system. I mean, what was it, like 4 years ago? They had to shut the pipes down for I think it was almost 2 to 3 weeks, because raw sewage had got dumped into the main watering line. And they had been given millions of dollars to fix that up, but it went towards Decatur, where Decatur's great is at, where they have the gentrification taking place, and not to the people that actually needed it. And like I said, I've seen that before the new CEO was in place. I saw that when I had, like I said, bought my first house down in DeKalb County.
And what was that about? What year?
That was about 2000.
2000. So that sewage problem has been going on through many administrations since 2000. So we talking about 21 years. That's a long time to have the same problem.
Mm-hmm. And it's not addressed. I mean, they'll highlight it. Like you'll see some of the media agencies, they'll bring it up and they'll talk about it, and they'll talk about how they're going to make changes for it. But I'm like, Audrey, I'm tired, and it's like too little, too late. And if I'm tired and I can afford to move out, just imagine the people that can't afford to move out that's stuck within that area.
So what's your plan for that? Because if it's been going on for 21 years, which is a very long time, and you've had several administrations in that district, what's your plan? How can you get it fixed? Because I had this conversation with my brother, and we're always talking about politics and like, what can you do? And he says one person can't fix the problem, but it's been 21 years. So what's your plan to fix that problem?
But you can highlight it though. So one thing that a lot of candidates do. They always make the promises. That's what they're going to be able to fix when they get in the office. And we see what's happening now. We see what's happening now with the Biden plan, the Build Back Better agenda that's going on, and everybody makes promises. I'm not here to even make a promise. I'm here to be a voice for the people because that's local. Now, granted, I can't fix local federally, but I can fix local by being actually showing up and actually using my voice, using the power of the pulpit. Like somebody said it to me, using the power of the pulpit of who I am to try to push towards a change within CD4 itself. Because that's really what you can do. And a lot of people don't necessarily believe that, oh, just because you have this particular title, you can't do certain things, because you do. You need everybody around you to push for a policy to go into place. And I can't control local, but I can control local when I show up. And I'm actively out here as an elected official protesting the things that need to take place. And I get it, it's going to ruffle some feathers, but you need somebody out here that's not afraid to rock the boat. And granted, I'm not afraid to rock the boat because I've been through those struggles. And that's the thing that I always talk about. I know what it means to be homeless. And I'm not homeless for like a couple of days. I know what it means to be homeless for like 2 years, laying on somebody's floor. I know what it means to walk to work and it's pouring down rain, and every little bit of money I had, I wanted to send it to my kids and make sure they was taken care of, and that, I did without. So like I always say, is imagine the people that, like I just said, can't get out of that situation. They need somebody to speak for them. Whether you can do something actively or not, at least they know that you're trying. And we don't see that. Honestly speaking, we just don't see that.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. I want to go to something you said about gentrification. So for those of my viewers who are watching and listening right now, can you tell us what gentrification is, and then why is it happening right now in your district?
I mean, it's happening across all of Georgia right now, because we have the whole, I like to say, the STEAM industry. So we have a lot of media coming down here, and the business is great. I mean, like I've always said, I always preach homegrown, but I do love the fact that we have a ton of implants, a lot of industry people coming down here, because it creates more jobs. And me being an engineer by trade, I like the fact that you have different potential opportunities that's showing up here. Now you run into the issue of, now that they're here, where are these people getting housed at? And I get it. We have to build out new housing for people as they come down. So it causes the boom. So when you go through that gentrification, it's almost like beautifying the old areas that was run down. And the issue I have with that is that the people that's been living there aren't grandfathered in. And Mayor Kasim Reed, I will give him some credit for that. When they was extending out the Beltline, those that live in the city of Atlanta, they have the Beltline that's going all the way out to the West End. So when they was extending the Beltline out to the West End, a lot of us know about the West End part of town. Like it was a rundown area, but he did grandfather all of those people that was there into the new building infrastructure. So as things got built out, they weren't priced out. So what it means is, as they come in, the minute you see a $500,000 home pop up in your area, or community pop up in your area, the very second those things are sold, your taxes are going up. And if you're on fixed income, even though your house is paid off, your taxes for your house is going up. And if you can't afford that, they don't care. They're going to price you out. And you're going to end up having your house go into foreclosure. Yes, a house that you've been paying for 30 years will go into foreclosure, and they kick you out. The banks will seize it, and a investor will come in, buy your house for little or nothing, and then turn around and flip it for whatever the market is asking for right now, which means you don't get any of it. So you're talking about bridging the generational gap. You didn't got that, all that wealth that you didn't accrue within that house is gone now because you can't pay the taxes on it.
Wow. Oh my. So I've never heard it explained like that before. And that's pretty sad, because a lot of the people that are living in those areas are elderly people who have been living there forever, and the houses probably are paid off. But if the taxes increase and they don't have the opportunity. Did I lose you?
No, my camera is acting up.
Oh, okay. If they don't have the wherewithal to take advantage of the new tax structure, that really could make them lose their house. So that's pretty bad. One of the things I wanted to talk about was livable wages. One of the, because right now I was looking at the Georgia income wage. It's $5.15, right? Mm-hmm. And the federal is $7.25. And so that sounds crazy to me. Like, who can?
But what is a livable wage though?
I mean,
like in your opinion, what's a livable wage?
for me, a living wage is at least $25. I can't even imagine what somebody's doing with $5 or $7. So one of the things you say you're running on is that whole livable wage piece. And so how do you plan on increasing that? Because 515 is 725 is very low, let alone 515. So how what's your plan for that?
Well, I think it should go by what's in the area because I mean, even with people pushing for $15 an hour, that's still not enough money because you're talking about the median value of a home or just even rental property is like what is it, $1,200, $1,500 for a studio. So $15 an hour is barely enough to even survive. That's not livable. And so my plan is to actually increase those wages to at least, like you said, 20, 25 an hour. And that's the thing that we see now is the fact that we talk so much about the pandemic and those being displaced in the pandemic. Our first line, our first responders, and people that's actually working these retail jobs and in the food industry, and how important they were because a lot of us couldn't get out. And when we got out, we needed people to actually work those jobs. But now that the pandemic, they say it's over. It's still not over. They don't want to pay those people. And when those people got laid off, they figure out new ways of trying to survive. Now, with them trying to survive, and they started new businesses. Like we had a huge industry buyout when it came to like computer hardware and stuff, because everybody was trying to figure out how to do their own thing and start their own business. I don't care if it was doing something on Amazon or they started on streaming platforms or doing like you and I do, got into the media sector of it. Those people don't want to come back because they aren't secure and it's not really paying them enough money. So my plan is to try to work towards getting the $20, $25 an hour because it really has to go by the market. Like even I use, for instance, like California. So California has high taxes out there. Now, the Silicon Valley people, they got pissed off because a lot of their workers were remote workers. Well, because the taxes were so high, those workers get paid anywhere from 190 to 200,000 plus, but they start leaving California. So when you tell me they left California, they got put in a different income bracket because now they can come to like Georgia and, they can live like kings and queens making 200, 250,000. They put into place that if you leave their area, they're going to adjust your income based on the market within that area, which means if you were making 250, they'll drop you back down to like 100. And to me, I don't think that's fair. So if they're doing the same thing for those individuals, I think it should be the same thing for when it comes to just the median income. Like it should be adjusted by the growth within the area because a lot of us not even getting our pay increases for, just for cost of living.
Wow, I've never heard that before. So that's pretty substantial. So now I'm thinking about, and I think I've heard my daughter mention something very similar. She said something about her job was doing something similar, but I guess they decided not to do it. They're about to go public. They're about to go public like right now. And that was something they were saying, well, if you're going to work from home, we're going to adjust your income. And they were like, you adjust my income, I'm leaving. Like,
right.
I've been working from home through the whole pandemic. Now you want to adjust my income because I'm working from home? I'm doing the same work. And so they were ready to leave. Like, we're not going to stand for that.
Because you get more out of people working remotely. Because you have to think about it. A lot of us, first of all, especially living in Atlanta, if you live in Atlanta, it's automatic that you got to commute, and your commute time can be anywhere from 45 minutes to over an hour, depending on where you live at. And if you can afford to live by your actual job itself, like my job is in Alpharetta. So a lot of the jobs that pay a lot of money, they typically are in highly heavy populated areas, but then the cost of living in the area is extremely high. So if you're working from home, that means you don't have to commute for an hour. So you can just wake up out of the bed, as long as you ain't got no meeting, you wake up out of bed in your pajamas and get in and start working. And you get more work out of me during the daytime. I'm not being stuck at the water cooler. People not stopping by my desk having, the coffee talk, none of that stuff. I'm actually sitting down working. And if somebody messages me, you can respond back to a message anytime, as long as it's not something that's, coming from your manager or whatnot. So you get more out of me. So I've never understood why people had an issue with remote workers. And I get that you bought buildings, but I think I can't call my companies, but like my company is starting to itemize the buildings they bought and bring everybody into one location and then just have people rotate out like shifts of when you actually come into the office. Now, me personally, I can work from home until I'm actually needed in the office. But a lot of like the other people that come in, they'll have them come in like 2 days out of the week and the other 3 days they're off. And to me, I think that's fair because like I said, if you don't have to commute for so long, you can get more out of me.
Right. And I feel like I heard that said before. Like one of my friends, she works in pharmaceutical, and she said the exact same thing. She said, I find that I do more work working from home. So her job, she works pharmaceutical. So her job is said, you know what, you guys are gonna stay home. So they must have recognized that is true. We get more work. And she said that because she said normally she would get up at 5 o'clock and she's on her way home and she's done. Now she found herself thinking about something and getting up and going to the computer at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's
Right.
absolutely true, which is crazy because I ain't getting up and going to 2 o'clock. I'm trying to shut it down.
I think it depends on what you're working on. Like if it's a project that you're doing and you can get it knocked out early. Like I'm one of those people that my projects can get extended out, but when you give me something to do, I like to just get it taken care of so I can sit back and chill.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and get it. I don't care if I'm working on it until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I get it knocked out because once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we heard this in the last election, the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is bad for us. The Green New Deal. Please tell us what the Green New Deal is and why is it not bad for us? Because I heard so much about AOC and the Green New Deal. I heard a lot about that. Warnock support the Green New Deal. That was a whole campaign last campaign season. But I see that that's a platform that you're running on. What is the Green New Deal and why is it good for us?
So I never changed. So all y'all that's just actually logged into my website, I never changed up any of my policy beliefs. Now, what I don't typically, my camera overheating again. I'm sorry. What I don't typically do is address policy because the fact that, like I just said early on, is that I can have my policy beliefs and not everybody's going to agree with it. But I didn't say this, but I want people to go by their character. So I do believe in the Green New Deal. Now, I was talking to my sister about it this morning. So the new flavor of the month is the Build Back Better agenda. Now, if you look at that, it has some of the same things that was in the Green New Deal in that. And I think when it comes to that, it's just how it was marketed. So you had AOC behind it, who they considered very controversial, and anything with her name tied to it, they deemed it as being unproductive, and they don't want to be associated with it. But now we have the Build Back Better agenda, and because President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris is on there, they're pushing it. Everybody's going for it, and I'm like, I don't care what it is, as long as we can get things taken care of when it comes to the people. I hate that AOC's name end up tarnishing the Green New Deal, but I still think it's something that we should all strive towards, because even I used to answer Margaret Taylor Greene, and I hate saying her name because I just hate saying her name because I'm just not rocking with her at all. But even in her district, one of the biggest producers of the jobs in her district is from a solar power plant. Mm-hmm. Now, you want to talk about the Green New Deal and how it's bad for the economy. Well, how is it so bad when one of the main things that feed off into your district is solar power? To me, that's green. That's green power. So it's like they're using it as a means to tarnish what I guess the liberals, the far left liberals, are pushing for. But I always say, okay, well, what is the right doing? What is the far right doing? I mean, what the hell they've been talking about this whole time is we have problem with our voters and voter registration and stuff, and there are illegal votes taking place, but nobody's talking about what they're actually trying to do to make America great again. So I mean, I'm still forward. I didn't update my policy beliefs out there because it is what it is, and it still coincides with some of the new things they're pushing out. Like I said, the Build Back Better agenda, where they talk about lower childcare costs, lower higher education costs, prescription drug costs, lower healthcare costs, tax cuts for families with children. So all those things are things that President Biden are pushing out, and I'm all for it. So it's like, whatever the rebranding you got to do, I don't care. I'm going to keep the initial thing where it started from because there was a foundation behind it. So it's going to stay on my platform. But, if it's something that's pushed out to help the people out, I don't care who presents it. I'm all for it.
So the Green New Deal, talk about some of the opportunities that may be available for small business owners, because a lot of times when those new deals are cut, the small business owner who could take advantage of some of those opportunities get left behind, or so much red tape they can't even get a foot in the door. So what are some opportunities that may be available for small business, and how can they take advantage of those without having to go through so much red tape?
Well, in all honesty, you're going to have to go through red tape. I mean, we saw that, like I said, with the money that was issued out from the CARES Act and how it was supposed to go towards renters that was behind on payments. Unfortunately, depending on who your local people are and how they're pushing out and the information that's being put into place, you're going to have to deal with some form of red tape. But it is encouraging small businesses to get into dealing with clean energy, renewable stuff that actually you can use recyclables to create brand new products and whatnot. And you can get money from the deal. I don't know how much money was going into it. but the money that was going into it to actually invest into your business.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I always tell people to watch out, stay informed, see when things are pushing, see when it goes into place, and start asking your local elected officials, how can you get, because we have a good one in CD4, Commissioner Lorraine. I love Commissioner Lorraine. I'll always shout her name out because she's very much out there in the street. She's very much so, her and her team are making sure people understand what's taking place, any new monies that's available for low income families or small businesses, because she does run a small business workshop of how they can take advantage of even the CARES Act when it was issued out, and how you can actually keep your employees in place. So my thing is stay informed with your local politicians to see what they're doing to encourage you and enlighten you on new policies that's coming out within the state.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I think right now I think there needs to be a resource available, and I don't know, maybe there is one, but I think there needs to be some type of resource available to even make small business owners understand that these opportunities are available. Because I've been sitting in so many meetings lately, and when I go to these meetings, I'm like, well, who how is people supposed to know this? So I guess it's through people like you and I who are putting the word out. But if they're not listening to Popcorn of Politics or Good Morning Gwinnett or Built Together or one of the other 900 podcasts that I host, they still don't know. And so they don't know that these opportunities are available. So we got to do a better job at making
It
sure.
is. It's about communication, and that's the thing I talk about. And I'm not going to beat. I mean, I was addressing the incumbent, but I'm still not going to beat down the parties themselves, because we do need to do better about communication. And I do talk about it on my show. I think people thrive off of the ignorance of the community. And it's sad to say, but I mean, that's just the reality behind it. Because if you had a more informed community, and you have an informed community that will actually hold people accountable for what they're not doing. And you would think with all the billions of dollars that we give towards any form of politics or any form of elected official that we invest towards people campaign or the parties as a whole, they will actually have a media platform to highlight the things that they're doing. Because I mean, why would you not want to have your own platform to boost out the greatness of you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now this is a biggie right here, and I don't know what your plan is for this one, but I hear this all the time too. Medicare for all, health care for all, and you know, in some countries they do it seamlessly, but for some reason here in the United States that's a problem.
Because
So
it's about
how do you,
money.
huh?
Because it's all about money.
Well, okay, so it's all about money. But how you go? So you fight. To me, that's an uphill battle, right? Not saying not to fight it, because somebody has to fight the fight for us. But what's your plan? Because you know that's something that has been thrown around in pretty much every election I can remember, and we still have to pay for our health care. Not only do we pay it, some of us pay a lot. Like my husband and I, we pay a lot. We pay almost $1,000 a month for health care, and that's through his job. So, how do you plan on fixing that? Because that to me is one of those things that we have been fighting for so long. And I know people in other countries do it, and they do it. Like I hosted a panel for the district attorney a few weeks ago, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a gentleman on there from Jamaica. He told me we don't 10 years, it's been 10 years, nobody has to pay for healthcare in Jamaica, right?
Israel, the
So
country that we invest in too.
right, so Jamaica, they don't pay for healthcare, but here in the United States you could barely get an aspirin. So what's your plan for that?
The plan is to get out and get people to put folks in place like me. I mean, like you said early on, it's the fact that one person can't do it by themselves. So we need more people that believe and fight for just that, so we can actually push change that's representative of what our community wants. Because we saw that during the pandemic, right? Like we had so many people getting sick, and the pandemic put our spotlight on everything. And the biggest thing is Medicare, and it's healthcare in general. And like you said, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie, I don't even have healthcare right now.
Wow.
I don't, and I make pretty good money. I don't have health insurance right now because, like you said, it costs a lot of money to have health insurance. And so for me, taking care of my kids and my household and everything else. Now, granted, when enrollment comes up towards the end of this year, I am signing up. But like you said, it costs a lot of money. So my goal is I could use the power of my pulpit again to push for change in healthcare. I don't care if we're doing we're putting new things into place for the Affordable Care Act, like passing some amendments to change that up. But no, really it boils down to the people in the community themselves. We need to have more I don't want to say progressive, but you need to have more people in place that's willing to fight for the issues that come to heart. And healthcare is a big part of it because nobody wants to pay a lot of money for healthcare. Like we had some people that got sick from COVID and they were issued bills of like $1 million. And it's like, who you think paying that? Or some people issue bills like $300,000. And it's like you said, you go to other countries, and I use Israel for an example because Israel's a hot topic. We give all this money towards Israel and they take care of their people. But the US, they don't necessarily want to do that because it's always about money. And then when you start talking about taking care of your citizens here, they say, oh, that's a socialist platform. But I'm like, so is Medicare. So I was like, so, either you want to survive or you don't want to survive. And I think everybody out here, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whatever, you want to have access to clean energy or have access to just healthcare in general and all the platforms that other countries have access to make sure that you have a comfortable lifestyle and that you can actually grow up and then pass things on to the next generation. And right now, we don't even see a lot of that, even when it comes to rural areas. But go ahead, I'll get you to ask a question.
Because so I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm sure you're not the only one who's saying the same thing, but nothing is changing. Like, do you even?
Because people. So my frustration is when it comes to candidates or it comes to voters in general, is that we don't hold our elected officials accountable. And I'm saying that even for me, even once I'm in place, hold me accountable to be a representative for you to make sure that I'm doing what you want me to do. And like you said, healthcare is a part of it. Education is another part of it, especially when you start talking about CRT. Got a hold.
What's CRT?
It's critical race theory.
Okay. Because somebody's listening to that saying, I don't know what that is. What is critical race theory?
Talking about the true history of this country, okay, and talk about what really happened from how it was from conception to where we are till today that nobody really want to talk about.
I know I've read the reports and people are not happy. And I actually read one last night. I think it was from CNN. It was like one of the parents was saying, we're talking about this in school and my kids are feeling bad. So they were white kids, but they said my kids are feeling bad about this. But it's the true history.
It's a lie.
Yeah,
I believe all that's a lie because the kids don't feel any kind of way. I mean, because when you're in school, you're not thinking about anything that they're teaching to you. None of the kids are really thinking about what's being taught to them. And how can I make somebody feel guilty about something if it's just history? Because I mean, technically speaking, we feel some kind of way because of slavery and everything else that we went through and the Jim Crow policies that was pushed out there. How are we supposed to feel? Because some of those same issues are still taking place till today. Like we've had studies that's going out to show that when it comes to issuance for car loans or for housing loans, like a lot of us was given higher interest rates than those with the same credit score and everything. We were typically give higher interest loans than some of our other white counterparts. But nobody talks about those things. It's not the kids, it's the parents, because nobody want to talk about the real history of what took place in this country and how a group of people were treated.
Yeah, and I think that's so sad. I remember it probably was like 2 or 3 years ago. I was I was on my way to watch my nephew play football. He was playing for, I think he was playing for Vanderbilt at the time. And there was a report that came out and it said that in Texas they were taking Black history. I don't even remember Black history being in any of my history books, but they were taking the Black history completely out of the history books, as if it never existed. I'm saying to myself, well, let me think back now, because I don't even recall seeing Black history in my history books. But
I remember talking about the greats like Rosa Parks and MLK and people like that. I mean, that was in the books.
Well, not mine, Antonio. I'm telling you, I'm going back, and all I remember was World War II and the civil war and some other stuff. I don't remember seeing when I learned about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and all those people. It was because I had to go get the encyclopedia. So I'm dating myself. I had to get the encyclopedia and go look it up to do a report. So I'm a little bit past you out there, like, you know what I mean. So, but
what's the concern though? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I think right now, with them trying to erase the history, it's like you're trying to erase us, and I think that's pretty awful. Let the history speak for itself. But I feel like, I don't know. That's this whole. The reason I started Popcorn in Politics was because when I do Good Morning Gwinnett, I want it to be uplifting and positive, right? Mm-hmm. But when I thought about politics, to me, it's just not that uplifting because there's so much nonsense that goes on in politics that it makes me want to pull all my hair out. And when I get into these topics about stuff like history and where we are and where we're going and what happened and why it happened, why we get charged more than anybody else, and that stuff is still happening and it doesn't change. And it's kind of crazy because it's been what 500 years almost, and we're still doing it. We're still fighting the same fight. Yeah, we are a little bit better than we were before, but we're still fighting the same fight.
Yeah, my wife got on me about my show when I was talking about when I was live last week, and she said you just don't make it sound happy for people to get into politics. I said I ain't about being happy. I'm like, you just have to be honest about how things are. And I'm like, is you got to get into it for the right reasons and not allow the people that's in there to change your reasons behind why you, and it's with anything, to change your reason behind why you're doing what you're doing.
And that's why I started to get into politics. So I feel like I'm better on this side, like where I can talk to people like you and people who are in those seats, and our community leaders and our government officials. I feel like I'm better on this side because my first foray was into politics, and I went to a few meetings, and I determined I'm not ready for that yet. So let me go where I feel like I can have a better impact by bringing people to the table to share like why you want us to vote for you, and why haven't you addressed a problem that was in the last election that's still there, like now 21 years later. Like, so why would we vote? Like me personally, 21 years, one problem. I don't think I will vote for you. So
say that again. No, go back. Say that again.
I don't think so. Like, if I haven't seen any progress on the same problem that we've had for so long, you probably wouldn't get my vote. But that being said, let's go to voting, because the lines have been drawn, the maps have been made over. Where do you stand right now? So in your district, what does District 4 cover? What areas does the District 4 cover? Because I know the new map is out. What districts do you cover in District 4?
So it's still DeKalb County. So it's DeKalb, Rockdale, and Newton.
Okay.
And I mean, everybody brought it to my attention today. Was like, how do you feel once the map is redrawn? And I was like, hey man, as long as DeKalb County is a part of it, I'm fine with it. Because like I said, I grew up in Stone Mountain, so in off of Reed Inn Road and Stone Mountain, Lithonia Road. So as long as DeKalb is a part of it, I'm fine. It's cool for me. Because again, I come from the area, and that's the one thing nobody can take away from me. I actually come from the area. A lot of people, like I said, move down here, and that's great and welcome in. But like I said, growing up here and seeing what's taking place, you can draw the line however you want to draw the line. Now, what's bad is though, I'm going to stop myself right there. A lot of districts have been redrawn to where it's highly favorable for Republicans, which is why you're seeing Lucy McBath. She's already pushing her stuff out now. Carolyn Bordeaux is already pushing out her commercials, because now it's people in some treacherous waters. But for CD4, CD4 forever blue. We blue life forever.
So, well, a lot of politicians, they come out swinging, they swing for the whole term, and then they disappear. Either if they win, or if they don't win, they disappear. So what's your plan for staying connected to the community? Because for me, that's a big thing. I know you're going to be fighting right on Capitol Hill, doing your thing, but there are still people in the community who will not be on Capitol Hill with you. What's your plan for staying connected and keeping the people informed about what you're fighting for and how the fight is coming along if you are elected?
So you're right, and that's the thing that I always talk about too, is that a lot of people, and I'm not gonna lie, I got to keep it honest. Matter of fact, pitch my show, keeping it real politically. I got to keep it real. A lot of the elected officials, especially the local ones, I don't even know who a lot of them are, because I didn't even really see them coming knocking on doors. Because, like I said, we saw that during the last election cycle when they had to come to the unconventional voter areas where it was necessarily the greatest part of town. And it's like that was the first time that a lot of people actually said they saw people showing up and knocking on their door. So when it comes to me, Antonio Cortez Hicks, I've always been in the streets. I mean, even right now, I serve as a Gwinnett County post seat holder for District 3, and District 3 is like in the Snellville, Loganville area, and I think it's parts of Walton. But anyway, it's part of it's the District 3 in Gwinnett County. But I have my show, Keeping It Real Politically, on Tuesdays, atltalks.com at 6 p.m. I have my podcast that I do, PTG TV, which is politics, technology, and gaming, where I talk about politics like we're doing, breaking down those things in technology and gaming in a way for people to understand they can get involved and know what's going on within their community. And I still get out and volunteer. I canvas for other candidates that's out there. I participate like in Indivisible 4, and their goal is to try to help out progressive candidates, or just to keep people informed on things taking place around the community. So needless to say, I'm a busy man. And is they going to change? Did it happen because I'm running for office? No, it happened because I need people to know what's really going on and stop having people show up and talking over the top of people's heads. And people just say they hear them, but they don't really understand what they're saying just to get people out of their face. So for me, even once I'm elected, I can't volunteer as much, but will my communication platform changes? No, I'm still going to have my radio show. I'm still going to do my podcast because you still can do both, even while you're in the office, to make people know, let people know like what's taking place and what I'm actually doing while I'm at the Capitol, while I'm in DC, and even talk about what's taking place locally too, because I think that's what's important. Because like you said, once people show out, we knock on doors, we hand out flyers, people disappear. You never hear from them again until the next election cycle. And that sucks because you don't get to hear about what's going on. You don't get to highlight the goodness of what you're doing. And you don't get to talk about some of the things that's not being done because you have opposition going against you, even within your own party. And that's the other thing we have to stop shying away from. We have to address all those people that prevent bills from getting placed, even if they're in our own same group, because that's an issue. Everybody should want to have somebody in place that cares about them. And that's what one of our good friends, he told me that he said he hadn't seen a purist get elected in a long time, because I genuinely care about the community, because I come from the community and I've seen the hardships of the community. And to me, it's hard to look somebody in the eye that's going through a struggle and tell them I'm going to do something and I'm not even doing it. I'm just doing it so I can get a vote. And I've never lived like that. My parents have never raised me up like that. I come from the deep South, where only thing we cared about was community. We never met a stranger because we always helped people out. I don't care if it was family. I don't care if it was somebody that wasn't even around the area. If you were in need of assistance, you coming from where I come from, we were always willing to help out. And so for me, because it's instilled into me and that's my foundation, that'll never change.
All right. Well, you have heard it here from Mr. Antonio Hicks. He's running for Congressional District number 4 here in Georgia. If someone wants to cast a ballot for you, how can they reach out to you?
So I am looking for people that want to volunteer, and I'm obviously looking for donations because it is a grassroots thing. And of course, I know I'm running up against a monster, and as you know, always has a war chest out there. And I know that it's a hard hill to climb because I hear it all the time, but I don't mind climbing hard hills. I climb Stone Mountain all the time. And I taught my boys that
that's a hard hill. I just look at it and be like, yeah, never gonna try that hill. That's a big hill.
And it's the one thing I preach to my boys. I'm gonna get to why the question you typically ask, but I got to pitch myself out. I tell my boys that when we used to climb Stone Mountain, even when they was younger, they was like 4 and 5, is that the journey might be tough, but no matter what it is, you have to take time to really pay attention to what's going on around you. Take a moment to assess yourself, but continue moving up towards the top. Because once you get to the top, you be able to celebrate your victories and you actually get to see all the things that you've been able to accomplish. So like I said, I am looking for small dollar donations. I am looking for volunteers. You can reach me on AntonioHicksForCongress.com. And if you want to tune into my show as well, too, if I can't pitch it, is ptgtv.online. And that way you can stay informed about the things I'm talking about. You actually hear about events that's taking place. You can log into my Discord, join in if you want to talk to me one-on-one, because I'm active in my Discord just about every day. And we'll talk about anything.
So is that the number 4, Antonio Hicks for Congress?
AntonioHicksForCongress.com.
Is it the number 4?
No, it's just 4, like FOR.
FOR, I have to, people be doing all these fancy things.
I don't do that. I know my website, the URL is long, but that's okay.
Some people want to shorten it out. Okay, I'm going to drop it right here. So if you want to vote for Antonio, you want to donate to his campaign, you want to volunteer on his campaign, if you like what he said, here's his website. To make sure you get it. That's his website. All right, Antonio, listen, thank you so much for being my guest today. You could have been anywhere on Sunday afternoon, but you spent 44 minutes with me, and I appreciate you for that. And be sure to keep doing what you got to do. Keep knocking on doors and don't let the people down. Don't let them see you campaign season and they don't see you again. Because I can tell you right now, I said this campaign season, I'm going to get a big bag, right, a box, and I'm going to keep all the flyers that come to me during the whole campaign season. Now, what is crazy, I would like to have gotten a newsletter from somebody who had put all these posters and flyers on my door during campaign season. It would have been nice to get a newsletter say, hey, this is where we are. This is what we've done over the last 100 days or last 150 days, but nothing.
Well, see, Audrey, that's why I like your platform, and that's why I want you to continue doing what you're doing. I'm not going nowhere. Because like I said, you can tune into my website and you can see where I'm at. And follow Gwinnett Dems too. I would do DeKalb, but I'm not current. I mean, I live outside of DeKalb County now, but I don't care if I was in DeKalb County. I'll be part of the DeKalb County Democrats. You can find me anywhere. I am not that politician to where because if you see me on the street and everybody recognize me from my afro. If you see me on the streets, just walk up and speak to me. If you want to talk, we can talk. I don't care. Let's have a discussion about stuff that's going on. But for you, keep doing what you're doing, because like you just said, the one thing that I feel some kind of way about is that we see those things show up, but we don't know what people are doing. Like, we have the technology right now. They can do exactly what you're doing right now, and they can go live. You ain't even got to do a town hall. You can just go live and say, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we've done the first 100 days since I've been in office. These are things that I've learned. These are things going forward. If you're interested, this is the process behind what happens on the first 15 days of once you're in there, the people you talk to, the groups they connect you with. And it's just about being transparent. And I think that's a key part of being in leadership, is being transparent so people can know exactly what you're doing. Because, again, you're paying for my salary. This is not something that, another company is paying for. Your tax dollars are going towards my income. So you should know exactly what I'm working on. It shouldn't have to wait until a town hall. It shouldn't have to wait until it's the next election cycle. We have so many streaming platforms now that you can get out and get your message across. And that's what you're going to get out of Antonio. I'm the IT nerd guy. You can find me anywhere on Twitch, on YouTube, on podcast platforms, on Facebook. You can find me anywhere, and you can ask me questions. I even welcome trolls. Let's have a debate.
All right. Now, I gotta give a shout out to our district attorney here in Gwinnett County, DA Patsy Austin Gatson, because that's one of the things she ran on. She said, I will stay connected to this community. And so she is connected. She has a podcast that we just recently launched. We're still working out some kinks there, but we just recently launched that for her. And she also has quarterly town halls that she's going to be doing. So her goal is to make sure that the community know that we are still working for you, and that your voice still matters. And I think that's so good, so good for.
And you will see her out in the streets too, cornrows and all. I loved it when I saw them cornrows.
She's about the business. When I tell y'all she's serious about making Gwinnett a safe place for everybody, and Georgia just in general, because I'm there, I see what she's doing a lot of times, and she has a wonderful team that she works with. And when I'm over there trying to produce a podcast and run people down, and because they're all so busy, it's like, oh Lord, who am I going to talk to this time? Who's going to be on the show this time to talk about what's going on in Gwinnett County from the DA's office. So listen, if you missed the first episode of the DA review, the next episode will be available, I think this week, the 14th, I think it is. It's the second and fourth Thursday of each month. No, second and fourth Thursday of each month. We will be talking to the second in charge over there at the DA's office. His name is Mr. Darryl Manns. He'll be coming on talking about more about what's going on from the DA office. It's called the DA Review, and you'll see it pop up on my Facebook page that is going to go live. So be sure to tune into that. Antonio, thank you again for being my guest. Good luck in your race. I hope you go out and make big things happen.
That's the plan. And one thing I posted out today is never let a dream go to waste, and I'm not letting my dream go to waste. I'm going to be out there doing it. So thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Never let a dream go to waste. I like that. I'm going to close my show out with that tomorrow. All right, guys, listen. You have heard it from the man himself, Antonio Hicks. He's running for Congressional District number 4. If that's your district, if you like what he says, listen, meet him at the ballot. He needs your vote. Meet him at the ballot. If you like what he stands for, go out and volunteer. Show him some love. Help him. Donate $1. Trust me, $1 in a campaign could go a long way. I know, because I've been working on campaigns for the last 2 years, and I see when you don't have money, nothing gets done, and even $1 can make a difference. That's all I got for you today. Listen, be sure to check out Good Morning Gwinnett tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. live. I'll be live. Good Morning Gwinnett tomorrow. All right, so enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I know a lot of you are watching football. I know it's football Sunday. Yes, there was a game that came on this morning at 9:30. I was like, what the heck? They were playing in London, so it came early. So I'm going to catch a little football, but then I'm going to catch Hallmark after that. But anyway, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back again next time. So until next time, my good friends, make it a great day. Bye now.